Hi Facebook friends, oh my goodness, it's getting dark out there. I guess this will be a live stream in the dark. Hi again, my goodness, it really has gotten dark out there. Letitia here again, coming to you from Toronto this warm but comfortably warm Wednesday evening, July the 8th. Hope everybody's had a nice day. It's been a better day for me today than yesterday. Yesterday was quite intense. As some of you know, I was invited to be on a few talk radio shows, City News, Global News, CBC, and you know, the reporters on those networks were not particularly kind to me. Well, Global News was better. Let's just say City News was, you know, the gentleman was really challenging me and trying to make me look like I don't know what I'm talking about, and you know, like a tinfoil hatter. So and people have accused me of being that, and I mean, as you all know, I've been accused of being so many things. I would rather not even name. Maybe just for kicks, I will post some of the lovely comments I've received on Instagram. I'm obviously being sarcastic about the lovely comments, like a lot of hate. But you know what? The interesting thing is, I know what I stand for, and it makes no difference to me. It's very interesting when you know what you stand for. And you know, in my case, like many of you, I've done my own research, and I know that my beliefs are not grounded in my imagination or some it's not a religious belief that I have, even though, you know, we could argue about, you know, things like natural immunity, bodily integrity, and the fact that those are, you know, our God-given rights. But anyway, today I actually had an interview with a gentleman from Rebel News. Yay, Rebel News. Many of us in the freedom movement have gotten to know Rebel News. They have been nice enough to actually show up at our weekly Saturday freedom rallies, and they're really the only, man, I really sorry about the light, guys, but there's like no angle. Maybe I can walk towards like a lamppost. I was just on my little walk in this, you know, and anyway, so yeah, I'll let you know when my Rebel News interview comes out. I trust that they will air it. Yeah, and I feel like they actually gave me a chance to speak. They didn't, you know, the gentleman didn't cut me off and so on. And they're not trying to disparage me or our movement, and as others have done. So with that said, you know, a couple of interesting points were brought up by the well, by let's call them our opposition, people who believe that masks are super essential and that we all should be wearing masks and so on. Number one, you know, the argument was made, well, you know, you wear shoes and a shirt when you go into a store. Why don't you thank you guys, God bless you all. Yeah, you know, you wear shoes and a shirt when you go into a store. What's the difference? You can wear a mask, you know, no shoes, no shirt, no service, no mask, no service. That's the argument that's being made right now, and I think that's a ridiculous argument, because okay, number one, anybody could argue that shoes are pretty essential, because if you happen to step on a nail or something in a store, you know, that could be a liability issue for the store. So, and I understand that. That being said, I can assure you that even shoeless and shirtless, and you could be butt naked, but they're not going to deny you service in the emergency department of a public taxpayer funded hospital. Okay, I thought we had universal health care in this country. You know, Global News right now is doing pretty this ridiculous survey asking people, do you think service providers should be allowed to refuse service to somebody who's not wearing a mask? Well, that term, service provider, has to be defined a little more clearly here, okay? Because I wasn't going there shopping for clothes, okay? Some may argue that that's an essential service, okay? I was going there wanting to have an x-ray done of my finger because I thought it was broken. And by the way, I know many people have accused me that this was all a publicity stunt and that I'm lying, there's nothing wrong with my finger. If you watch my live stream from that night, the first live stream that I did, you can see that my finger was thicker than normal. I was in pain. It was throbbing pain. Turns out it wasn't broken, it was just sprained, thank goodness, because the swelling did go down significantly in the subsequent days. Anyway, all that being said, so again, no shoes, no shirt, and trying to compare that to me having been, us being requested to put on a mask that impedes our breathing. I'm sorry, that is not the same comparison by any means. And again, I know you guys are gonna send me studies that tell me that, masks don't impede breathing. There's a study that just came out, the PubMed published study, came out June 22nd. I'm going to post a link below. That actually says that, especially if you're exercising with a mask on, very dangerous to wear masks. The hypoxia can develop. All of us, or maybe at least some of you will have watched, there are viral videos on the internet of people using an OSHA-approved oxygen monitor. OSHA is the equivalent of the WSIB in Canada, in the US. Okay, it's like their regulatory body for health and safety in the workforce, in the workplace. Okay, and they have these OSHA-approved monitors, which are not inexpensive. They're in the hundreds of dollars. Okay, different people have used them, and within seconds of putting one on under a mask, under different types of masks, oxygen levels go down into danger zone. Okay. Of course, people have refuted that claim. They've used other types of monitors and they're showing that it's fine. I'd rather not take that chance. Thank you very much. Why am I going to put, and anybody from their experience can see how uncomfortable it is to breathe with a mask on. I myself find it, insufferable, especially in the hot summer heat. And again, when people are like, why can't you make the exception and put one on in a hospital setting? I was outraged that they were making my access to healthcare contingent on my putting on something on my face that actually has the potential to impair my health. This is insane. If the nurses and doctors want to feel safe because they told me you don't care about the healthcare workers, my dear, that's why they're wearing their masks. And if the masks are so effective, which by the way they absolutely are not, yeah, exactly. The masks are absolutely not effective. Right on the box it says this does not provide protection against COVID-19 for these surgical masks. And anybody who's done any kind of drywall repair, if drywall dust can come through one of those masks, a nanoparticulate virus that is orders of magnitude smaller, you better believe that will easily be transmitted. Okay, and don't give me the stuff about droplets. Oh, but there's less droplets. Well, how many droplets do you need? There was another viral video that I posted on my Twitter, a 2-minute video that Chris Sky originally forwarded. A deodorant spray will go through the cloth mask. The only thing it will not go through is an N95 mask. But even the virus particle is even smaller than what can go through an N95 mask. We're talking about like nanoparticulates. I don't know exactly what the size is, but if you look up what virologists have to wear in a lab, you see it's something akin to a hazmat suit. Okay, so if people are so afraid of this virus and they want to be so protected against this so-called disease that has a 99.6 survival rate, maybe up to 99.8 right now according to the CDC, please put 7 masks on yourself if you want. You can walk around in a hazmat suit for all I care, okay? Do whatever you need to do to feel safe walking around in the world. And if you're so afraid, you stay home. Nobody's forcing you to get out of the house. But you telling your fellow Canadians and fellow world citizens that they have to stay home, socially distance, put on a mask, do all these things so that you may feel safe going out into the world? No, my dear, I'm sorry. We're all responsible for our own health. I've been, thank goodness, I've been healthy most of my life. I take care of my health, okay? And by the way, I understand people who are immunocompromised and so on. Again, it's your body, your responsibility for the most part. I understand that maybe people had a rougher card dealt to in life and that we should be more protective of those people. Perhaps there are ways in which we can be more protective. I've heard people say protect the vulnerable because apparently the elderly are more at risk. Okay. I don't know. Considering that the masks are literally useless, why am I going to put on a piece of cloth on my mask that the only thing it's good at doing is impeding my own breathing and it actually trapping in bacteria. Bacteria gets trapped on the mask, and now I'm inhaling bacteria that otherwise I would not be inhaling. So literally, and I'm not protecting the other person. So it's a fallacy that we're being sold, guys. It's not based on real science. I'm sorry. Well, somebody's going to come up with some studies. Even if what they're saying is true, that it doesn't impede your oxygen absorption. Again, I find that highly questionable because we know people, like I said, somebody mentioned that 2 kids literally died in China. This is extremely disturbing. And one of my Facebook friends, she works in a hospital, and she said that they're getting calls all the time of people passing out, people wearing masks, passing out in the street. Okay. That's not a chance I'm willing to take with my health. If you're comfortable taking those kinds of chances, please go ahead, wear 7 masks, okay? Do whatever you want with your body. Don't tell the rest of us that we have to put these muzzles on our faces that literally do nothing to prevent this virus from spreading, okay? Bottom line, okay? The other argument I hear is, well, you know, we've had seatbelt laws in this country since 1978. You know, that could be considered an imposition on somebody's, you know, freedom. And I know, you know, I wasn't in this country when those laws were passed, and I know there was opposition. There were, you know, civil liberty advocates that didn't want to have seatbelt laws because they felt it was an infringement on their liberties. Don't tell me what I can put on my body. Same argument was made, but now people are comparing that to the mask. That's the argument that's being made, by the way, by the mainstream media, in case you haven't heard. And again, what I have to say to that is, you know, a seatbelt is minimally intrusive. I mean, I can see some people, perhaps somebody who's severely overweight or what have you, for whom it would be difficult to wear a seatbelt. But in no way does a seatbelt compromise your oxygen supply, which would affect your health on many, many different levels, okay? Well, exactly. And you know, so if I had been around, I would have been like, you know what, when it comes to you wearing a seatbelt, it should be your choice. But now if you have a minor child in the car with you, perhaps, you know, somebody could, you know, the argument could be made that, yes, you should be putting on a seatbelt on the child, and that could be mandated. Unfortunately, again, I wasn't around when those laws were passed, but when it comes to this particular attempt at imposing this on us, not a chance, okay? Not a chance. And by the way, I walked into Metro today, no problems. I have a medical exemption, thank you. No problems, okay? Now, you know, the fact that we're even having to go through that is exhausting. You know, I have my friend who, some of you may know, is dealing with a serious health condition at the moment, okay? And for her, having that kind of interaction, she was confronted at the entrance when she said, I have a medical condition. The entry door person did not know about this exemption. Manager had to be called in. It's an extra level of inconvenience. It's an extra imposition on our freedoms. And again, all done in the name of safety. Like, I cannot, you know, I posted that Bill Mayer, I think that's how you pronounce his name, video, where he said, you know, what kind of life do you want to live? There comes a point where, you know, we cannot live this bubble wrap life forever. Like, are you trying to sanitize? He gave the example of, like, your pet sits on the sidewalk where or on your driveway where your car has been, who knows, you know, and then and the pet comes and sits on your bed or tries to lick your face and so on. And what are you gonna do? Get rid of your pet too, because pets potentially carry germs and so on. There comes a point where I would suggest, I mean, I fully trust my own immunity, my own immune system, but there comes a point where I think more people have to learn that they can trust their own God-given immunity and stop living in this fear, okay? Stop living in fear. And finally, I've had nurses, especially ICU nurses, message me, tell me, you don't know what it's like, you know, our ICUs are actually overwhelmed. Okay, well, that may be the case. Now, keep in mind what's been happening for the past, how many months now? Almost 4 months. We're going into the 5th month. We've had people have cancer surgeries being postponed. We've had cancer screenings being postponed. We've had all kinds of preventative health appointments being postponed. Is it any fucking wonder, pardon my language, that those people are ending up in the ICU? Is there any wonder that we're hearing more than usual number of ambulances on our streets? Is there any wonder? This is an abuse. I had, you know, our dear friend Colin here in Toronto, or in the Toronto area, he posted that he's being told that his MRI appointment is being postponed indefinitely, okay, to diagnose a very serious health condition. He posted on his channel. You can look it up. These are crimes. Canadians are being denied access to healthcare in our great country. What happened to me was one example of being denied healthcare, and I'm not the only one. Since I posted that, I saw today two people. One person say that I had an imaging appointment. I assume that was an MRI type appointment. He was told by the front desk staff that the doctors won't see you unless you put on a mask. So, okay, he's like, I don't want to put on a mask, so I'll just leave. But we should not be forced to make those kind of choices. This is absolutely unacceptable in a country that has universal taxpayer-funded healthcare. If our government is refusing us healthcare, as the Rebel News reporter told me today. Maybe they should refund us all the tax money that we paid that goes to healthcare. 50% of our tax dollars in this country go to healthcare. Did you know that? It's an insane amount of money, and it's only going to get more because we have an aging population and so on and so forth. Yeah, so if our government is going to be refusing us healthcare, yet offering us no other alternatives except what? Go to the United States, go outside of the country, in a country that prides itself on universal healthcare, this is absolutely unacceptable. So number one, people who don't wear a mask, good luck to you. A doctor is not going to see you if you don't wear your mask. And I've had people who are serious asthmatics, could barely breathe, and they're still being told, no, the doctor won't see you unless you put on a mask. How ridiculous! This is inhumane what's happening, okay? And then beyond that, all these delayed appointments, people that are being denied healthcare, preventative healthcare, or even potentially cancer procedures, okay? In my girlfriend's case, when you know, I did post about this on my Facebook wall a while ago when the situation happened, but she was diagnosed with a very aggressive tumor, okay? Within a month, it had grown by about 1 centimeter. And those exist, okay? It's very real. We all know that, you know, 1 in 2 Canadians is gonna, according to the statistics, will develop cancer in their lifetime. So what happens to all those people that are currently growing tumors in their bodies and they don't even know? Until they have to go to ICU. This is an abuse of human rights beyond belief, what's happening in this country and what's happening around the world right now. Absolutely. No, I know, Brittany, I know. We cannot continue standing for these injustices. I'm extremely happy to hear that the suit being filed by Vaccine Choice Canada is happening tomorrow. Mr. Rocco Galati, the lawyer for Vaccine Choice Canada, is doing a press release tomorrow at 11:15 a.m. I posted the link. You can actually register and view the Zoom. I'm extremely excited about that, and it's going to be a mega lawsuit because the infringements on our freedoms, the abuses against our human rights and our charter freedoms have been absolutely unacceptable and next level. So I will continue to stand for what is right. We are on the right side of history. All of us who have seen the light, we need to remain strong and stand our ground emotionally, physically, mentally, in every way. In my case, despite all the haters, okay, I really don't care because I know I'm on the right side of history here. And again, people have accused me of being selfish and insensitive. Again, please do not give me that greater good argument, under which the greatest atrocities in human histories have been committed. You do not give up your rights for the greater good, okay? Everyone's rights matter, you know, and again, we've talked about the rights of minorities, black, white, whatever it is, whatever minority a person may belong to, everyone's rights matter, and no, your rights are not more important than mine. And again, this argument that, you know, your rights end where, you know, when it comes to the greater good. No, that's why they're called fundamental freedoms, okay? They are fundamental freedoms, and again, there's also the Declaration of Human Rights. I'm going to look into that and see if I can provide you with that document. You know, earlier in this COVID situation, I provided the link to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's a very important document that all Canadians should familiarize themselves with. Why do you think we've been able to have our protests every week? Because the government knows that we have a right to peaceful assembly. It's a charter right, and if they were to deny us that, a lot of hell is gonna come their way, more than it's already gonna come. So we have certain fundamental freedoms and rights guaranteed by the Charter. We need to protect those. As Chris Guy said again, know your rights, defend your rights, or they will take your rights. And we're not going to allow that to happen. We're going to stand strong, okay? Much love to all of you. Stand strong. Much love. Blessings. Have a lovely evening.